Guys, it's kind of crazy that we've made it to this point, but here we are. My final video on MLB The Show 21. This is going to be like a year in review. I'm going to talk about some of the things I really liked in Diamond Dynasty this year, some of the things I didn't like, some of the highlights from throughout the year, like some of the best, content drops, and just kind of give you guys my overall opinion of Diamond Dynasty this year. And feel free to let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Let me know how you felt about the game mode this year. Do you think it was a step forward from 20, a step backwards? Do you think the mode's going to improve in 22? Are you optimistic? Are you not optimistic? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because today we're saying goodbye to MLB The Show 21. So I think the first thing I want to do is I just want to talk about my endgame God Squad for a minute. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I did just record a video using my God Squad for my final game of MLB The Show 21. That went live yesterday. Make sure to check that out. But just a quick rundown, Kyle Schwarber was my catcher, the Player of the Month card from June. This is a bold claim, but I think Kyle Schwarber might be my favorite Diamond Dynasty catcher of all time. I've liked some catchers in the past, but I don't think anybody played to the level that Kyle Schwarber played at for me. First base, I used Babe Ruth and Frank Thomas. I actually like Frank better, but Babe Ruth's left-handed bat with those attributes are just too difficult to keep out of the lineup. Middle infield, I went with Corey Seager and Honus Wagner. I'll probably start Corey Seager like every year he's in the game. And Honus Wagner, honestly, might be a top 3 card for me in the game this year. This card did not get enough respect from people. The cover boy, Fernando Tatis Jr., was my endgame third baseman. In the outfield, I have 99 Mike Trout in left. The only card that I had a 1-of-1 superfractor of. I'm about to show you guys this, and you're going to think I'm more of a nerd than you already thought I was, but I actually got the 1-of-1 Trout card printed onto a canvas that I'm hanging up in my office, because this is probably one of my favorite MLB The Show experiences. The 1-of-1 grind was hell, but having the 1-of-1 and doing it with Mike Trout, it was incredible. And then filling out the rest of the outfield, I had Mickey Mantle and Mookie Betts. On the bench, I have Frank Thomas and Chipper to bring in against lefties, with Juan Soto and Griffey against righties, and Trey Turner on the bench for some speed. Funny, I actually like the 98 Trey Turner more than the 99. I don't know why. My endgame rotation was Corbin Burns, Justin Verlander, Corey Kluber, Jake Arrieta, and Felix Hernandez. All right-handed pitchers in the starting rotation. I hope that next year we get a little bit more variety in terms of righty-lefty balance. And finally, the bullpen. My favorite reliever this year was probably Rich Gossage. I also liked Mo a lot. I really liked Kenley. Raleigh Fingers I thought was super underrated. Not enough people used this card in my opinion. I thought he was great. Blake Trinan, loved they brought this guy back. And then the 3 lefties I was rocking out there in the end game were Aroldis Chapman, Aaron Loop, and Billy Wagner. So now I'd like to show you guys the card that I performed the best with in MLB 21. No surprise here, 99 Mike Trout, my 1-of-1 superfractor. Look at that batting average online. 470 with a 1776 OPS. This card is ridiculous. I didn't think I'd like a card better than Mike Trout from last year, but this one I might like him better. Now let's talk about a card that I was absolutely terrible with, and I'm really disappointed to say that. That would be 99 Lou Gehrig. I know, that batting average is brutal to look at. 31 at-bats, not a single home run, only 1 extra base hit, 1 RBI. Like, dude, for some reason, I couldn't get anything going with Lou Gehrig. He did have some unlucky at-bats throughout the year, a lot of perfect outs, a lot of hard hit balls right to people. It just wasn't clicking with Lou this year, man. I'm very disappointed to say that. And my absolute favorite card from this year's game, not the best card, not even a card that made my God Squad, the All-Star Shohei Ohtani card. I mean, dude, when this card came out, I couldn't tell you how excited I was. I remember I was with Shelfie, Adam, Fuzzy, and Kyle walking around FanFest when this card dropped, and we were all glued to our phones like, no way they actually brought this guy out. And as an Angels fan, watching Shohei Ohtani's incredible 2021 season, this card just was so unique. It was the most incredible card. Like, just the fact that he has these pitching attributes with that pitch mix, with these hitting stats, like, this card was just so one of a kind. I loved it. Now let's change gears. Let's talk about some of the best things in Diamond Dynasty this year, in my opinion. The first thing I want to talk about, arguably my favorite thing they added this year, was the parallel system. Now, they didn't just technically add it this year. It was built upon from last year. Last year, we had a prestige system where you had to get a bunch of online stats with certain players. Those players could be then upgraded to +3 attributes across the board, and they would get a red diamond badge. They basically took that prestige system, reworked it, and made it into something I think is so much better. Not only did it provide life to every single card in the game, but the fact that you get a numbered card based off where you are in the parallels, and it tells you what number parallel you are, that's just such a great addition to a fantasy card collecting mode. Bravo, MLB The Show this year. Great job. Hopefully next year we get some more cool art for the parallels and maybe have one-of-ones stand out a little bit more. That's, I think, the one thing they could actually improve on with this feature. The next thing I want to talk about, one of the big positives this year, was the Battle Royale program. Now, I was not really a fan of this when they announced this. I thought this was going to be kind of a cheap way to get these flawless rewards. I thought it would take away kind of the magic and the thrill of going 12-0. I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, going 12-0 was still difficult. It was still intense when you were in those late games and had a big diamond on the line. But the fact that you could get stubs and these silver and gold flashback BR players in the program added even more of a reason to play Battle Royale other than just trying to get that coveted 12-0 run. They brought back the flawless rewards to give you at like 80 points and 90 points. Like, they just did this so well. I loved playing BR this year because of the BR program. I don't know if the same can be said about the win rewards path in ranked seasons. It's kind of the same idea as the BR program, but I feel like if you just have things unlock at X amount of wins, it's going to cause a lot of people trying to exploit the system, quit out of games, get deranked to play easier opponents. I don't really know if this worked like they wanted it to work, but maybe they've got a better system in place for 22. And the last really big positive I want to talk about overall for this year's game, I thought Team Affinity was pretty solid this year. I would say Team Affinity 3 was definitely the most controversial one because of all the, high-rated cards we got in July. 99 Jacob deGrom just showing up in there, and everybody had the best pitcher in the game for a while. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the cards weren't cool, but I did feel like it kind of not broke the game, but it definitely shifted the balance of the game a lot. But just besides that, I mean, the quality of cards in Team Affinity 4 was unreal. Frank Thomas, Adley Rutschman, Mickey Mantle, future stars Julio Rodriguez, all of these cards coming out were just so elite. And then Finest was a great drop this year. I'll talk about more of that later. Yeah, it's just basically Team Affinity 3 was kind of a weird drop. Also, a lot of people didn't like how they did the divisional aspect to it. It wasn't team-based. It was all based on the specific division. To me, it didn't make a difference because I go for all 30 of the rewards anyway. Plus, anytime you get a pack, it's a choice pack. So it's not like you're forced to take, Sandy Alcantara if you really want to go get Juan Soto. Like, you can choose Soto first. It really didn't make a difference. So those are probably like the really big positives I have about this year. Now let's change it up and get into some of the negatives. The first negative is definitely more of a personal thing to me. I did not like that we didn't get Extreme this year. I know some of you guys are probably celebrating that Extreme didn't make a return, but I missed it. I think Extreme's a really fun event for the community. Everybody kind of, joins up on streams and sees the different strategies people are using. Everybody loves the rage and, trying to just see who gets the cards first and who figures out or who beats the moments first. Like, just all of that stuff I love. I totally get that it's hard and people struggle with it and it just causes a lot of frustration. But I think it's just like a pretty unique piece of content. And I was disappointed they didn't bring that back, but it's not the end of the world. My next big negative would probably just be packs in general, but more specifically headliners. They stopped headliners at set 40. And I just looked back at my video debuting Christian Yelich September 21st. You're telling me October, November, December, January, February, March. That is 6 months of just nothing in headliner pack? First of all, you only went to set 40. You could have easily gone to 50 or 60. Or if you were really hell-bent on sticking at set 40, stop releasing them 2 times a week. If there's a lot of content coming out, save the headliner for next week. And there's no shot the reason they stopped headliners was just a shortage of content. There are still countless cards in this game that didn't get a better version that should have. I just think it's really whack that they stopped headliners so early when they could have easily kept it going for, I'm not even asking through March. I'm just saying maybe another month or 2 months or something like that. It's 1 card a week. It can't be that crazy. But also I feel like I want more pack variety next year. I want more interesting packs because, we have the what's it called? What was it this year? It wasn't Ducks on the Pond. I think that was last year. This year was it was something else. But like all those packs are basically the same in terms of structure. It's just different rewards. I think it would be cool to have like, you know, pitcher exclusive packs or hitter exclusive packs, or I don't know, something to just change up the flow of how opening packs goes throughout the year. I'd like to make packs, you know, kind of be more meaningful throughout the year, but that's just one thing. Another big negative I had this year was starting pitcher attribute balancing. It's pretty obvious that the best pitchers in the game are no-hitter milestone cards. No-hitter or perfect game milestone cards. Which, you know, in theory makes sense, because if it's a perfect game or a no-hitter, those are some of the best pitching performances in Major League history. I totally get that. Then you kind of just back yourself into a corner if a guy like Pedro Martinez, if you don't want to give him a no-hitter card, and he ends up getting this monstrosity, then people are going to be pissed. Pedro Martinez was your, you know, highlight legend this year next to Roberto Clemente, and he got a card that nobody ever wanted to use because he wasn't good. Specifically because of that hits per 9 attribute, being at 104 when I could use Justin Verlander with 125, or Corey Kluber with 116, or Jake Arrieta with 125, Felix Hernandez with 124. Guys like Pedro just couldn't compete with some of these other cards. There's only a handful of cards that I think even do kind of make that cut that aren't no-hitter cards, like Corey Kluber, Corbin Burns. So I really hope they find a way to either balance hits per 9 better next year, make it not matter as much in terms of an overall, you know, depiction of how a pitcher's gonna be, or just scale it. Leave the 125 hits per 9 till later in the year. I don't know the right solution, but there's just gotta be a better system there. And my last big negative, probably the biggest one for me throughout the entire year, was inning programs. I did not like basically any of the inning programs this year. If you did like the inning programs and you did like the bosses, that's cool. I'm glad you liked them. I'm just sharing my opinion. I thought these were just a significant downgrade from MLB 20s. First off, I did like that XP was relevant this year. The fact that these were not based off program stars and just based off XP, I thought that was actually a really good change, because, you know, once you completed the XP reward path in previous games, you know, that piece of content became completely obsolete, and getting XP never mattered after that. At least this year, XP was relevant all year long. If I do a moment and I get a few thousand XP, that's gonna be like productive in what I'm doing with the program. Now, bouncing off that, I didn't like the fact that they didn't really give you many ways to earn XP the day the programs dropped. The program would drop, you would get like a collection for the previous program, you would get a conquest. They wouldn't release the showdown until like a week later or 2 weeks later. You didn't get any moments to do day one. You got a couple missions to do, but basically, there was just, you couldn't really make any progress in the program day one. And then you've got these people finding ways to exploit to get all of this XP so they can get the bosses as early as possible, which then they have to put an XP cap on the thing. None of this would be a problem if you just let people earn XP naturally by doing missions, moments, all that stuff. Let the grinders grind. If somebody wants to put 20 hours into the game to get these cards day one, let them do it. And here's the way I view the programs. The programs to me are almost kind of like a battle pass in Fortnite or whatever they call it in Warzone or whatever. Basically, a reward path that you know, get rewards in by playing the game, doing missions, challenges, all these different things. All this stuff leads back into this reward path. If everything I'm doing is leading back to this reward path, I want these rewards to be good. And I thought they were really I think the best program from MLB 20 was the 5th inning program, where the 3 bosses were Mariano Rivera, David Ortiz, and Larry Walker. There were a few reasons why that program was widely considered the best. Number one, all 3 of those guys were brand new legends into the game, 3 brand new exciting legends. Larry Walker, we didn't even know he was in the game until the day the program came out. Number 2, all 3 of those guys were the best or one of the best at their respective positions at the time that program was released. And number 3, it made it a difficult choice. I like the fact that you have to choose between the different bosses and really choose the guy that you think is going to be the best for your team. I didn't feel like we really had very many tough choices this year. You know, Wander Franco and Eddie Murray was, like, I guess, fairly interesting, both switch hitters. But what the hell is Christy Mathewson doing here? 6th inning, everybody wanted to choose Pedro, but he sucked, so we end up settling with either Matt Kemp or George Brett. 7th inning, Hank Aaron, Spencer Torkelson, and what the hell is Tony Gwynn doing in a boss pack in the 7th inning in like August? Tony Gwynn is an April or May 99. He's not a September, August 99. Even this one, Willie Mays, pretty easily the pick right here because you got Chris Sale with 102 hits per 9 when he was released in what, the 8th inning. Ernie Banks was good, but you knew we were going to get like a Finest Tatis. You knew we were going to get some other big shortstops. Eric Gagne and Johnny Bench don't come close to Babe Ruth. Like, these choices were just not interesting. I feel like I've been talking about the programs for like 20 minutes. So, you know, basically, I didn't like the programs. I thought they were a major step back from MLB 20, and it's probably the biggest negative I have about MLB 21. Now let's talk about some of the highlights throughout the year. First off, the collections. I thought the collections were actually pretty good this year. Chipper Jones to me wasn't the most exciting collection reward for the live series cards, but I thought he was a very quality collection reward. And the reason I say he's not exciting is because in years past, specifically in 20 and 19, and I guess in 18 too, because Vlad was a new legend that year, all three of those guys were new legends, really exciting cards that people wanted to use. Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, and Vladimir Guerrero. This year, we had Chipper, and Chipper's great, but everybody's already used Chipper. With that being said, he was a very solid third baseman, definitely one of the best third basemen in the game still. And Soriano and David Ortiz, early game, fantastic cards. Still good cards, but nobody really uses them anymore except for Big Papi. And then when you get to some of the legends and flashbacks, Mariano being a collection in like May, that was pretty interesting. One of the best relievers coming out. You knew Mariano wasn't going to leave your bullpen as soon as he came out. Mookie, at the time he came out, I think he was the best card in the game. I think he did get passed at a certain point. Kershaw, a lot of people didn't like Kershaw. I did okay with him. 67 innings, a 4.12 ERA. When you're facing 99s up and down the lineup, that 4.12 ERA will get the job done. And then the final collection with both Jimmy Fox and Ken Griffey Jr. I was shocked that they made Ken Griffey Jr. a collection reward. I really was. Griffey seems like that type of player that they really want their community to play with, so the fact that they hit him behind a huge collection like that, I thought was a really bold move. And overall, I thought the collections were pretty good this year. I liked the rewards. I liked the fact that there were a few of them to do. So yeah, I would say collections were a highlight. Next up, I want to talk about a couple programs, specifically the postseason programs with the wild card that had 99 Chris Taylor, 98 Stanton. You had the division series program, which had 99 Kike, just an unbelievable card. Logan Webb was also in there. In the championship series pack, you had a Yordan Alvarez card, you had a Brusdar, you had Devers, you had Eddie Rosario, and then of course the World Series one where you had Jorge Soler, Clay Holmes. Who else was in this one? You had Will Smith, Adam Duvall. Like, there were so many good cards in the postseason program. And honestly, the two that I really loved were these two. The All-Star program for a 99 Ronald Acuna Jr. I'm so happy they did this because this happened very shortly after Acuna had his season-ending injury. And he was on like an MVP type pace. He was killing it. Everybody was loving watching Acuna. So the fact that he got injured and his season was over, MLB The Show giving us this 99 card that was really good, I thought was awesome. Great call right there. And the last thing, the Field of Dreams. The Field of Dreams inclusion I thought was sick. I didn't know exactly what SDS was going to do with the Field of Dreams stuff, but the fact that they released a whole program, even had the Field of Dreams stadium that you could get, the old uniforms, some cool legends in here like Tom Hankey, Brooks Robinson, Roberto Clemente at the end with Felix, one of the best starting pitchers in the game. The Field of Dreams stuff was a very good inclusion. I'm happy they did this the way they did. And while we're here, let's talk about Finest, specifically the fact that they gave Buster Posey a program, the first Finest card to be released in MLB 21. He is retired. He's not going to be in the game next year, so this is his final card we'll see for a while. I think it was a good card. Nice send-off for him. But just Finest in general, like the card art was sick this year. It was probably the most unique card art that MLB The Show has ever released. And the quality of Finest players were so good, dude. I mean, there were so many good ones. Corbin Burns was really solid. A lot of people liked Clase, Trey Turner, an event reward. Ketel Marte, one of everybody's favorite cards. You have Shohei Ohtani, the card that plays outfield that can also pitch. Fernando Tatis Jr., Marcus Semien was elite. Juan Soto, of course, is going to be good. The GOAT, Brian Reynolds. All of these cards were so sick. Definitely Finest was one of the big highlights of the year. So that kind of leaves me with my final thoughts. What did I think about Diamond Dynasty this year? Well, overall, I would say that as a whole, I probably enjoyed MLB 20's Diamond Dynasty more. I just felt like there was a little bit more life to Diamond Dynasty in MLB 20. The fact that multiple different series of pitchers were usable, not just like no-hitter cards. The fact that I thought the inning programs were better. I know the parallel system was an improvement on 20, but 20 kind of introduced the foundation for that with the prestige stuff. I'm not saying 21 was a bad year of Diamond Dynasty at all. It was a pretty solid year, but if I had to choose to play Diamond Dynasty for a full year and I had the choice between the two games, I would probably take 20. And if I had to give MLB 21's Diamond Dynasty a rating overall, gameplay, content, servers, I would probably say like a 6.5. That might sound like a low score, but I think with some of the things that I personally didn't like, I can justify it for me. And with all of that being said, goodbye, MLB 21. This is the last time I'll be logging on to this game. So like I said, let me know what you guys thought about MLB 21 down in the comments. What is your overall impressions of the game this year? I hope you enjoyed this little year in review, but guys, it's time to start looking forward to MLB 22. The next time you see me on my YouTube channel, it will be with MLB 22 content. So thank you guys for all the love and support on the videos this year. I really do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having another great year in 22. I hope you guys are ready to come along for the ride. I can't wait, man. So thanks for watching. Drop a thumbs up one last time on 21, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.